Hey everybody, welcome back to the Metal Mill 52 workshop. My name is Bill, and this week's episode, if you'll stay with me for the next 15 or 20 minutes, we'll talk about assembling the base of the Quorn. As you can see, I've got it mounted to the nice piece of butcher block. I've got everything assembled here. In this specific episode, I'll pass along some tips for making the felt wipers that go inside these parts here. I'll talk about a little issue I ran into with the split cotters, and a spring solution that I added to help those out. And I also show doing the markings on the thimble here, the graduated dial, the thimble with the numbers, and a couple of ways to make the lines stand out a little bit. So I hope this is interesting and useful to you, and stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Last night I cleaned and Loctited the vertical bar in place, and it's rock solid now. I did put down some wax paper on my granite surface plate in case any of the green Loctite leaked out the bottom part. So the front bar moves, of course, like it's supposed to. Back bar is Loctited in, vertical bar is Loctited in. Getting ready to stamp the numbers on the little thimble that goes over here on the left side. Here's my setup for stamping the numbers. I've got it in a little vise. I'll be using the pillar tool. I've got this nice bright light here, and you can see the lines very clearly under the bright light. I'm not going to video the whole process since I did this with a couple of other things that I stamped, but significantly I'm using a 1-inch bar that's kind of a tight fit on the thimble because I don't want to deform the thimble when I stamp the numbers in. The other significant factor is that the machine cuts as you loosen the screw as you go counterclockwise. So it'll be 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 around. So it's a little opposite the way you'd normally mark dials. Here's the thimble with the numbers stamped. And this is what I mean about going like anti-clockwise. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then back to 0. There's 50 marks here. What I just did is I'm trying to experiment a little bit with, I like to have the lines be black, so I filled them in with a Sharpie, and I'm going to let it set for a few minutes and then try to rub it off with a blue shop towel. See what that looks like. I'll bring you back. I figure it couldn't hurt to start there, something that simple. If that don't work, we can try other things like paint. I tried the magic marker idea, and I wasn't really thrilled with that, so I tried using some black kiwi shoe polish to fill in these numbers and the lines, and I let it set a little while and rubbed it off, and it looks good in the number stamps there. So then, but when I rubbed it off on the little index lines, it didn't stick. So I applied another coat last night and I let it dry overnight, and as you can see, it's fairly dry now. So what I'm going to do is wipe that off and see how the index lines look. Well, I think I put on too thick of a coat because I had to get pretty aggressive in wiping it off. I mean, you can see the lines, so it's not bad. I'm really actually pleased. It's a lot better of a solution than I thought it would be. What I think I'm going to do now is put on a thin coat that'll be a little easier to wipe off, so I can get those ones, the shorter lines, and I'll let that dry again overnight and try wiping that off. Interesting experiment though. I've got the baggies with all the hardware parts and pieces out, and as you can see, I haven't gotten much of the reassembly done yet, and there's a reason for that, which strangely enough, I thought it was going to be something simple, but it's been more difficult. But I did find a solution. I wanted to show that real quick. I was able to get these felt squares at Walmart for like 33 cents or something. It's craft felt, and I picked up a couple of them just to be on the safe side, because I knew it would take a little trial and error to make the felt wipers. And speaking of trial and error, here are a couple of my failed attempts. I'm thinking, how hard could it be to cut out a circle in a circle in felt? I've made my own gaskets before when I restored a South Bend shaper, but those were a simpler design. And so after trying several different things, including making a little plastic template for myself. I came up with a solution. I've just finished making one and it worked out well. What you can see here, this is an old business card that I've actually glued to the felt using this spray glue, the Super 77 multi-purpose adhesive. Now this does have a strong chemical smell to it, so you definitely want to do it with the fresh ventilation. I'm going to spray and glue these things together and then vacate the premises for a little while they set up. But the process is really simple. You take your what I've done is taken business cards and cut them. I need to make 3 more of these because there's 3 more to go. So I took business cards that are the right size, cut them in pieces, and I'll spray them, spray the one side of the felt with the glue and one side of the business card, and then put them together and let them dry. And then I can scribe them out with my compass here and just make a nice neat circle for the inside, the 1 inch inside diameter for the tube, and the outer diameter that's needed. It's slightly less than 1.5 inches because it fits inside the dust cover there. So put those together, scribe those out, and then I use the X-Acto knife here. It's got a brand new blade on it. Use that to cut out the inside, and you can use it to cut out the outside too, or use a pair of scissors. Here's the remnants from my first, and it makes it a lot easier having the business card fixed to the felt. Otherwise the felt just wiggles all around and it's next to impossible to shape. So I do need to make 3 more of these things. I'm going to do that right quick, and then I'll be able to fabricate them and fit them all together tonight. Alright folks, the trick with the business cards and gluing to the felt with the spray glue worked fine, so I very quickly made up the felt inserts that I needed for the wipers. And then I got to looking, as I was putting them back in the baggies, I got to noticing the condition of my ball handles. They had been pristine. I made these things a year ago, and I kept them inside this fishing tackle box the whole time, and they never rusted. You got these new fishing boxes, both the Flambeau and Plano, appear to have some kind of rust inhibitor in the plastic, which, I mean, these were all made in the same batch and they've been handled and they look just fine. I mean, they look like I made them out of stainless, which I did not, and now I wish I did. But anyway, so I handled them a lot, handled all these when I adjusted the fittings and made the spacers and whatnot that I covered in the last video, but they rusted badly. This one here, I'll take it out so you can see, but this one that I've just cleaned up, it was the worst off. I decided to start with it first because I wanted to see if my cleanup technique would work. Here, look at how bad that rust is. It's just horrible, and it's aggravating because it was looking so pretty just a few days ago. So what I did, this one was even worse, and happily it cleaned up okay. I still need to polish it, buff it a little bit, but I got the rust off. I used this Mother's magnesium and aluminum polish. I've used this for a lot of different things. So and I used a little Scotch-Brite and then a buffing rag, a microfiber rag. So you can take the rust off, and the nice thing is it should leave a protective coating. I'll put some gun oil probably on these when I get done. You know, on the pillar tool, I've treated all my ball handles to a bluing like guns are blued, but I kind of didn't want to do that with the Quorn. I wanted to leave them the natural steel color, and these are all 12L14 or some 10,000 series of steel. It's not stainless. And just kind of a cautionary tale, if you're going to make one of these things, go ahead and get the stainless steel and make the ball handles out of stainless. 303 stainless machine's just as easy as anything, and you know, then you wouldn't have to worry about stuff like this. But happily the Mother's mag and aluminum polish is taking care of the problem, and hopefully it'll put a nice coat on that will prevent future problems. Alright, just to finish up on the ball handles, I've polished everything with the Mother's mag and aluminum polish and the Scotch-Brite and buffed them up with the microfiber towel. And so they have a nice coat on there. Everything's clean and pretty, a lot prettier than it was a little while ago. Especially some of the ones that had that nasty case of rust on them. So I think tomorrow, before I do all the final assembly, I'll take my Dremel tool with the little buffing wheel and buff them out a little bit.
This segment I wanted to start talking about mounting the Quorn on this nice butcher block table. I got this piece of butcher block off of Craigslist probably 5 years ago for about $20, and I've had it all this time, and I've always thought that the Quorn might be a nice project to mount on it. It's not all cleaned up yet. I'll probably do that, you know, sand it down and restain it. But one thing you'll notice, hopefully you can see this, I'm shifting it to the left because what I was wanting to do was have the control so that I could basically just rest my hand here on the table. Also, to have the front bar very close to the front, because when I want to tilt the tilting lock lever, I don't want any interference with the table. So my idea is to situate it about like this. I've been kind of mocking it up, and then I used my square to align the side of the castings on this side. I guess you can, hopefully, yeah, you can see that, with the front of the table. Obviously it's not precise, but just something to get started. And then all I have to do is use my center punches, mark the place for the 3 holes, and then drill holes down for the 5/16 inch threaded rod. I'm going to cut off sections of threaded rod. In the bottom, I'll secure it with these T-nuts that I'll do a little countersink, obviously, so that sits inside the wood, and probably a double countersink so that it's flush and inside. And these T-nuts can secure the base of it as they go on the threaded rod like so. And then for the top, use these stainless steel acorn nuts that I got, so that'll look nice and they won't rust. So that's the general game plan. I'm going to turn to, no sense showing you all that stuff, but marking, drilling, countersinking, cutting off, and bolting down, and then I'll be ready to do the assembly with all the other pieces. And I'll bring you back for that assembly stage.
Hey guys, I don't want to dwell on this, but I got this put together this far last night, and I was really happy because I got everything installed, you know, on the front bar. Well, everything except the tilting bracket and the rotating bracket, and it's looking really good. Everything fit okay. Put a real strong spring in there, got the end cap in that side, and I noticed the front bar is really stiff moving. The spring doesn't move it automatically, and I'm like, man, that is just whack. So I reread the thing about the rank beginner builds a Quorn article that Ron Chernich wrote, and I noticed that he made the point the same thing even happened to him. So I'm not sure what's causing the issue, but I'm thinking it might be the little rings here, the wiper rings might be grabbing. So I'm going to try taking those off and adjust it and see what comes up. Alright folks, very happily I figured out the issue. It was not the bar was getting hung up on these stainless steel wiper guard things. It was much simpler than that, but here's a little demonstration of how smoothly the bar should move. See, I'm unscrewing it, which basically when you're grinding a tool will be bringing the tool edge into the cutter, which is, you want that to happen for sure, and it to be smooth, and it is smooth as silk. Hopefully you can see the tape moving a little bit. Anyway, so the bar is moving there. What the issue was with the split cotters, there's no spring inside to push them apart. So what I was doing is, like, if you're locking the bar, okay, and then you unlock it, let's say like this, basically my split cotters are staying clamped on the bar. Now listen to this. You hear that? That's pushing the back cotter off of the bar, and now it'll move again just like it's supposed to. Now notice it did it on this one here, it did it on this one as well. So Yay, at least we figured out what the issue is. Alright, I came up with a solution for a couple of these sticky split cotters. I ended up taking them apart, and I have this box of springs that I got at Harbor Freight, and it's come in pretty handy for a few odds and ends here. But they have these gentle springs that the 5/16 inch threaded rod will fit inside, and they compress pretty good, as you can see there. So I was able to insert one in this one and this, and I did have to, after all that careful fitting, I had to adjust my washers one more time, but I got that sorted out, and these both work very nicely. Also, in this one, it's strange, but there just wasn't that much room, and I did insert a spring here, but I had to cut down one. This is the remnant, so the longer portion of one of these springs is in here. There wasn't enough room to accept a full size, full length spring, but this works okay. I'm still probably going to have to squeeze on it every once in a while to push that back, but the adjustment does work here, and the effort that takes to engage these is very minimal, and they release pretty easily too, so I'm pretty happy about that. Can't really complain. And I've got these where the handles in their locked position, they'll be out of the way and in a good orientation. So anyway, on to the next thing. Thought I'd share with you that solution. Thanks for sticking with me for the last 15 or 20 minutes or so as we've assembled the base of the Quorn. I hope this has been an enjoyable segment to you. If you have enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. If you have questions or comments, please leave those as well. And as always, please pass the word. I am trying to grow the channel and provide some useful and interesting content for other home shop machinists. So thanks again, and I will see you next time. Just a little teaser for next time. What I'm going to be working on is doing the paint and body work and some of the final fitment on the spindle head, and getting the motor mounted and all that. I mean, all the hard part's been done, but now it's time for the pretty part, the paint and body work, and making that all happen. So thanks again. We'll see you next time, everybody.